Okay, this evening's lesson is going to be setting up your business. The first thing I want to talk about is the different type of business structures. There are business structures that are relevant would be setting up a DBA, setting up a limited liability corporation, a partnership, and then a full-fledged corporation. Does anybody have any thoughts yet on what they want to do in terms of setting up their business?
I've heard so many different options that it's pretty confusing.
Oh, good. I'm glad you said that. It is confusing and there is some misinformation out there, and I will be glad to clear that up for you. I've been there, done
This is
that.
what we're
Okay, good. Jason?
How protected is your assets in the LLC?
We're going to get to that, and that's the most important question. It just doesn't surprise me that you got right to the point. We will get there, okay? DBA is by far the simplest thing to do. When I started, I got a DBA on my first company as a home inspector because it cost me $35 and I was done in a half hour of filling out the form, getting it registered. The problem, one of the problems with DBAs is your name isn't protected but anywhere except in the state, or in that county. One of the advantages of then going up a level to the LLC is that the name is then protected if you decide to call yourself Upstate Home Inspection Services, LLC, which is what I am. Well, I am today, I'm an LLC on it. But Upstate Home Inspection Services was my first DBA. Now that meant somebody in Buffalo could get Upstate Home Inspection Services, and that would be perfectly legal. The advantage to DBA is that it's inexpensive, quick, and now you have a business. I take that form, that DBA form, and I walk down to the bank, I open up a business checking account, and within a week I have a debit card that I can now start washing all my company expenses through. When I make money, I put a deposit in, and when I spend money, I do it through that account. So at the end of the year, to do your business taxes, which you want to keep separate from your individual taxes, and they're not separate, it's still going there, and it's still being reported on a 1099. But you want to identify them totally separate for business purposes, and it's easier to expense. I take all my gas out of that checking account, and I make all my deposits into it. And I do accept cash, but I show cash. Because if you want to set up a profitable business, and you want to be a legitimate business that does more business or makes more money, you are more invested in showing the growth of your business so that you can get business lines of credit. You can't do that if you're hiding cash. So the first thing I want to tell you is no matter what kind of business structure, claim even the cash, the checks. If somebody gives you bottles, claim it. Because it's that activity that the banks are going to look at in terms of whether they're going to give you additional credit or not. Yes?
But DBA, you have to do it twice a year though, right?
No.
Taxes?
No. No.
There's the misinformation.
No, there's no twice a year for any corporation. Now, there's estimated taxes that LLCs, and I don't know, maybe DBAs do it, I'm not an accountant.
Yeah.
But he's not paying taxes twice a year, he's just giving them money in advance because they don't want to wait for him to give them $30,000 at the end of the year. So they're going to say, they've been trying to set me up on that forever, but the way I avoid paying estimated taxes is I'm behind. I am now in a contract to pay them a couple thousand a month. Now, when you're behind, they don't pressure you to be ahead. They're just happy you're sending them in. So I don't get the letters saying you have to give in your estimated taxes because I say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm still trying to get caught up. I can catch up, I just don't want to catch up because I don't want to pay ahead. I like being able to pay behind. So there are tax implications, and there's cash flow implications, etc., in the two business structures. But DBA is by far the easiest, and I would recommend getting a DBA to start off with because you don't know for a fact that you're actually going to be a successful home inspector. Very few people know that. I know we're all bitten with self-doubt. And we may present the optimistic, confident face, but are we, in our specific situation, going to be able to be a successful home inspector? There's so many variables, I don't think anybody is 100% certain that they will be doing this. So, it costs nothing to start off as a DBA and wait until you know you're going to be successful, and then choose to make the LLC move when you can afford the anywhere from $300 to $1,200, depending upon how you go about the process. That's what I did. I had a DBA. I knew in 3 months that this was it, and I went and told my attorney, and he charged me $1,200. Now, there are less expensive ways to do the LLC. So the first step is the easy, inexpensive DBA. I suggest you do that, and then make your decision on what you want to do from that point on. And when you're ready to step up to the LLC, then do it. Yes?
Now, starting out, what about like as at a legal aspect, is it more dangerous because of the coverage for yourself, like, because you're going in new?
Okay, let's talk about the liability
That's
issue.
what I'm
That's what Jason wants to find out. So let's have, you and I will have this conversation, and he'll learn. Right? You are paying attention?
Yes, I am.
Okay, it's bullshit that LLCs protect you. Nothing protects the guy walking through the door. You are personally liable, and I don't care if if the CIA hired you, you're still personally liable. Doesn't matter what your corporate structure is, the guy walking through the door is always liable. Now, LLCs protect other owners in the company. So if you two partner up, and you go in the door, and you have an LLC, they can't sue him. Well, they can. It just costs more time, more complex to get the partner. He has all the assets. You walked in and screwed up. You're always liable, and they may be able to get to him, but it's just going to be harder. Okay? So the first thing you have to know about LLCs is, yes, it provides protection for partners, uninvolved partners. And I don't mean uninvolved by sitting at home in a jacuzzi. I mean uninvolved, they weren't there at the inspection that day. Okay? So LLCs provide you, though, with, now you have your own EIN number. And with your own EIN number, now you can start setting up your company credit line. Now you can start establishing your income, your expenses. After 2 or 3 years, now you have a cash flow that can be counted on. Now they don't look at your lousy personal credit, they look at the company credit on an LLC. I had to learn this after about 10 years, because I had one of my companies was strictly a DBA all the time. And I'm doing a lot of money, and they kept looking at me, and I had a divorce that kind of it ruined my credit rating for a long time. So I wound up always having to fight for this, and they were always looking at, well, you don't have any equity in your house, and your credit is okay, but it could be better. And I found out by accident, talking to my patent attorney, that, oh, well, all you have to do is get an LLC and then separate that. I said, why didn't my banker tell me that?
So just speaking in theory here, what if, say me and John, we live close. Say what
I
if
mean, John and I.
John and I get an LLC, he gets an LLC, but we split the profit of our two businesses 50-50 right down the middle. Like everything, like if I take one, then he takes one.
Why would you get two
Well,
LLCs?
because
Two
when-
different
let me finish.
LLCs.
When I go to the job, I'm working for John that day. When he goes to the job, he's working for me that day.
To what end?
You're saying because you're not liable if you're working for someone under their business.
You're the guy walking through the door, you're always liable.
But you just said.
I just said the guy walking through the door is always liable. I don't know how I could have misspoke.
What if he had
You understand what I'm saying?
an employee
Yeah.
that had his own license number, and he never went to the house, his employee always went to the house, because he didn't get any extra
John is my
protection.
employee when he goes to a house, and I'm his employee when I go to a house.
That means you still be liable. It's basically saying to the guy who
Well,
walks
that's
through
not
the door.
what you said.
I did say that.
You said you can be liable, but it's harder for them to get to you, is what you said.
Oh, wait, nobody is in, I looked at it, I had an attorney explain it to me one time, I can get anybody. I can get anybody.
I'm just asking.
I'm serious. I can get anybody in the world, and I can sue them successfully. I might not win the court, but I can sue them successfully. I can get there. How much money am I willing to spend to get there? And my attorney explained it to me in a way of $5,000. If I want to sue you, it's going to cost me anywhere between $0 and $5,000. If I want to sue your partner, even though he's in an LLC, it's harder. It's going to take more money, more time, more effort, and that's another $5,000. I can sue his mother for having birthed him, hiring you, and then putting him in there. It's just going to cost $20,000 to get her. So what I'm suggesting is the guy walking.
That's what I was asking.
The guy walking through the door is always liable, and anybody else can be got, no matter what your scheme is. It's just going to cost a lot more money to get him. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Just follow your SOPs and you don't have to worry about it.
Right.
Okay? Jason, did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. LLCs allow you to establish credit. LLCs, that's, you know, you have to, it costs more, it's gonna cost you at, what's the internet to be able to, you can do it online.
LegalZoom.
LegalZoom. I did an LLC with LegalZoom and it was about $500, $600. Attorney is gonna cost you around $1,000. You can do it in our state for $250 and do the paperwork yourself. Just go to the Department of State and follow their instructions and it can be done. Yes? Oh, I thought you had a question.
As an LLC, at least at the end, if you build up a good company, you can sell it as an LLC.
Yes.
Where if it's a DBA, people can just take your clients and not ever pay you for it.
Well, I don't, they can take your clients anyway. You don't own clients in this market. I have clients that use other inspectors because maybe I wasn't available or anything else. What you probably want to build up as your asset is, if you're smart when you first start off, you're going to start a database that's going to keep track of everybody. And then you're going to come up with some kind of ingenious idea where you can contact them every 6 months or so and provide a service for them. Some of them call that the home history program, but I wouldn't be the one to talk about that. Yes?
Are there, like, legal ways to have employees as a DBA, or do you have to be an LLC to do that?
Sure, you just have to get, I would lose the term employee. You don't want, I don't know why you'd want to get involved with it. I have 20 people working for me and they're all subcontractors.
Right. I just didn't know if that was.
I just hire them and I get a 1099. Yeah, 1099 on everybody. And at the end of the year, my accountant just takes those expense, I follow it on this separate checking account. And so all the money I paid him shows up on the checking account, etc. It's a quick, easy process, and there's no gray areas there. Okay, just all I'm suggesting you do is you get a checking account, get yourself in some kind of organization, and then just then follow that along. Oh, the contractors. Now I lost what we were talking about. The subcontractors. And then I hire guys to go out and do jobs all the time with me. I'll go out there like the factory I was talking, or the factory I was talking about the other day. I brought 6 guys out. Every one of them, I have their 1099. Sometimes I'll use him once a month, and I may pay him $300. Other times I might use him 5 times a month, and I pay him $1,500. So that at the end of the year, those are write-offs for me, and then he has to claim it as income. But if you go into employees, now you got all those other complications about employees. And all you self-employed business people already know that, correct? You really don't want to go down that. Let's put it this way. I do not know a home inspector in our state that doesn't just, when he associates and does something with somebody else, or in the 4 or 5 things he's doing, he's always in a subcontractor situation. Nobody hires anybody else. But if they do hire him, it's as a subcontractor. 1099 and you're good to go. You know, I've got teachers that have been teaching too with Joe, been teaching with me for 6 years. Joe's a 1099 subcontractor, period, in the story. Partnership, corporations, partnerships, the problem with partnerships is the whole organization is folded once the partnership breaks up. That's the biggest, then you have to reorganize. Now your checking account is closed down because it's both of your checking account. You two have a falling out. Now you have the problems. When I did hire guys, I hired them, I was the boss. It was my company's name. I bought him his business cards, and I paid him as a 1099. Partnering depends upon services. I think it generates more of an issue in terms of who's responsible for what. Then one of you has a personal problem which affects the other one. Whereas if you're just, I'm the boss and you're not, and the day you don't show up at a job and the day you stand me up for that inspection and I have to do the whole thing alone, you're on your own. You can't make those kind of decisions when you're in a partnership. I own 4 businesses and I've decided I'm the only person I can get along with, so I would not partner up with anybody for that very reason, because shit happens all the time. And you gotta plan for it. Corporation, well, just don't even think about it. There's no reason. Corporations are advantageous if you have inventory issues, etc. You're buying capital equipment, then there's some tax benefits and write-offs in the way that you use, that you account for your inventory. So first of all, I incorporated this school because I had a partner, a Canadian partner. So we set up a 6-people corporation, and within a couple of years, they were all gone except for me. And then I had to disband the corporation, and I went to this school as a DBA because I wanted to just make it as quick and easy a transfer. And then when I decided I needed to get more capital for no more investments, I went to an LLC so I could break it up. So my school has been through a corporation, a DBA, and an LLC. And partnering is not ever going to happen.
So, just.
I don't play well with others.
Out of curiosity, let's say for instance, okay, like we need specific equipment to do the inspections.
Yes.
If I set up an LLC, would I be able to write off?
You can write it off in your DBA.
Even in the DBA?
Absolutely.
Just get it from out the
All
DBA
that
account?
DBA does is you're not separating your income from your personal, and, thank you. You're not separating your personal from your business, whereas if you do an LLC, you can report it separately, and you can separate yourself from your own personal credit rating and the LLC's credit rating. But that income still goes to my 1099. I'm still seeing it as straight income. Thank you. So corporations, bad idea, and plus a lot of money. Plus you have to have the yearly meetings, or sometimes bi-yearly, whatever. Let's talk about insurance. 2 different types of insurance you have to be interested in. One of them is general liability. General liability is typically what you want no matter what. If you go up to a house and you trip over a wagon and the wagon runs down and hits grandma, and now your insurance will cover the repair of the wagon, the insurance will cover the repairs to grandma, and the insurance will cover the fact that, on a general liability, the fact that you broke your pad and you fell, but it will not, the general liability insurance will not cover your own personal injury, whereas other insurances might.
Gotta sue the guy that left the wagon
Well, that's another issue. Let's just keep our focus on insurances. So general liability is something you want, because when you're in that attic and you do something stupid like walk on the floor the joists, and you're walking across the attic and you're putting your foot through it, that general liability insurance will pay for that ceiling. It will pay for your tools. It will pay if your car gets damaged on the way to an inspection. Make sure your auto insurance company knows you're using it for work, etc. They'll work hand in hand, both those policies.
What do you